Tuesday, the 18th of February, 2025. And in this evening's show, we catch up on the latest series of home draws. Firstly, the midweek match that put you to sleep against Rotherham last week. And Saturday's jekyll and Hyde performance at home to Mansfield. Results which incredibly keep us unbeaten in 2025. 10-game run, but also cuts us 9 points adrift of the final playoff spot. I'm John Espinal, and this is Seaside's podcast match reaction show. Blackpool 3, Mansfield Town 3.
With a great tradition.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Seaside's podcast on a Tuesday. Apologies, we didn't come yesterday as per usual, as per the schedule. I just had something on, so I couldn't make it. Supposed to be on the panel this evening on Tim. I don't know where he is. He's not turned up. I think he's canvassing for his business somewhere. So there's an ambulance gone down Highfield Road chasing. So hopefully he appears very shortly. Also on the panel is Nick and Brad. Firstly, Brad, welcome back, mate. Good to have you on. Gareth Southgate, waistcoat and all.
Yes. Well, got to follow the trend and keep it going. Do you know what I mean? Better than a clown outfit.
Yeah, I wonder if Tuchel will wear one. Nick, I can't see you sporting a waistcoat very soon.
No, I don't think I've ever worn one, even in the early 90s when they were fashionable.
They were.
I've no desire to look like a snooker ref.
Jesus.
Brannigan's for those of a certain vintage. Right, well, hopefully Tim appears. Order of play this evening, we're going to have a quick look back at the Rotherham game, so we didn't cover it. Then on to Mansfield and a bit of a preview of Crawley this weekend. So let's go over Blackpool 0, Rotherham 0. I'd just like to kick off by saying thanks to the club for bringing my team of youngsters, Polton FC Blacks under 12s. We enjoyed the hospitality of Blackpool before the game. So free tickets for all the lads and all the parents. We went onto the pitch at half-time. We did the flag bearing as the players came out. It was a great experience for the lads. They all absolutely loved it. So it's good to see the club doing things like that. Shame the game was a load of shit. Can't have inspired many to come back, but I'll be trying my damnedest to do that, Nick. And in Mitch's blog, I've just cut out a little snippet here. As the players came out, he wrote, "It feels like there's no one here. The players run out, not to the roar of the Coliseum, but to the half-hearted applause of a county cricket match." I thought that was it nailed the atmosphere, I think, pretty much.
Yeah, wasn't a very big crowd, was there? And there wasn't very many from Rotherham either. I mean, they normally bring a reasonable following, but it was only a few hundred, wasn't it? And yeah, it's just a little bit flat, isn't it, at the moment? Even with some of the decent performances we've had, it is difficult when you, what is it now, eight in a row we've drawn at home. We're breaking all sorts of records there. So, and that Steve Evans' side, it's probably not going to be a thriller, and it certainly wasn't one for the highlights reel. There weren't many at all. I think overall in the game, Tyra was probably the busier of the two keepers. It wasn't a game that had a lot of chances, but I think from memory he had to make kind of 2 or 3 decent saves to keep us in it. But it never really looked like we were going to do anything, unfortunately.
Brad, I wouldn't have liked to have been the person who put together the highlights reel, as Nick's mentioned there. You're on mute, Brad. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry about that. I've just reminiscing of the football match. What was the question again, John?
I'm just saying I wouldn't like to have been the person to put together the highlights reel for the Rotherham match. It was dour, to say the least.
Jesus, it's like watching paint dry, I suppose. Rather be watching that than the way the match turned out to be. To be fair, no, it wasn't what we expected. We played very well with them at their ground and got quite a decent result out of it at the first half of the season. But unfortunately, I think with the injuries that we've had, the form that we've been, the confidence that the players are having at the moment, it's been one of them scenarios where, it's not Critchy-esque, but it's more of the case of I think he's trying to patch everything up to try and go for the draw, really, and it seems to be repeating itself as we've been unbeaten for quite some time now. But yeah, it's a shame, really.
Only 8,000 on the gate, Nick. It looked considerably less. They are
Yeah,
counting.
I think. Well, it'll include season ticket holders, won't it? Who a lot of the exiles probably don't come for some of these night matches. It's, a lot of them live a fair way away, so it looked more like 6 than 8 to me, if I'm honest. Like I say, there wasn't many in the away end.
Ice cold as well, wasn't it?
It
Bloody
was
freezing.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot to get you enthused about it. I can't imagine there was many walk-ons either. It was probably literally just down to the hardcore season ticket holders, really.
Right. The less said about that game, the better, because it was dreadful. It was another draw, but hopefully we were going to put that to bed. What greater game to have to put that to bed was Mansfield Town at home. 7 defeats in a row in the run-up to our game, and Blackpool lined up for this game as follows. Shift that around. Let's get us on. Starting 11 was Tyra, Fayette, Casey, Baggett, Baggett, Husband, Apter, Morgan, Evans, Carey, Ennis, and Silvera. Obviously, Nicky was mixing it up a bit from the Rotherham game, and I think we had Beasley and Fletcher starting up front, which was impotent, to say the least.
It was, yeah. And he'd hinted during the week, hadn't he, that he was maybe going to try and change things a bit to try and address, some of these draws and try and turn one of them into a win. And I didn't really mind the lineup. He was trying something a bit different, and I can't blame him for doing that. Because if it's not quite working, then why not try something a little bit different? So obviously, he brought Silvera in, Fletch and CJ dropped to the bench, and yeah, I felt reasonably happy with the lineup. Like you say, they were on a really poor run. So you're thinking, is this the game where we're finally going to get that home win? And it started well enough. I mean, they had probably more of the ball in the first sort of 10 minutes or so. But then we score with our first real chance, Apter on the right. Great ball through to Sonny, and to be fair to Sonny, sometimes his shooting isn't always great, but shot across the keeper into the corner, 1-0 up, and you're thinking, great, are their heads going to drop? Can we push on and get a second? But yeah, as it turned out, that was the high point of the first half, because from then onwards it went very pear-shaped, shall we say.
I mean, Brad, if you cast your eyes there to the first half stats, Mansfield with 13 shots, 4 of which on target, an XG of 0.85. They were the dominant force in that half, and I think we were probably fortuitous to go 1 up in the first half, and it was all Mansfield after that, and they could have been out of sight by half time, and that's extremely worrying given the form that they're showing in the build up to this game.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the things that shocked me the most was the first 20 minutes leading up to the goal. We were pressing, we were going for it, we didn't have any fear factor trying to go forward with the ball. I think as soon as we got the first goal, we wanted to plod on. So the first half stats, I don't think really reflected the mindset that us had in the first half. I do think there should have been more goals. I do think we should have been at least 2-0 up before we started making the turn and going downhill. But yeah, it's one of them. It's we always do it every game, don't we? We always have a good start. We have the momentum. We start with the 0-0 mentality, and there's always a point in the game, and it always seems to happen in the later half of the first half, or it starts in the start of the second half, where the dynamic shifts, and we don't really have a response for it. And I don't think Brucey's really sussed it out at the moment on how to shift it from a team A to a team B mindset where we go for different mindset, like different formations. And I don't think we've kind of clocked that. Whether that's because of the depth we've got, and obviously with Bloxham being injured, I think we had that dynamic when he was playing for us, especially on the right wing. But yeah, I do think we should have had more goals. We should have more opportunities, definitely.
Yeah, coming on to the first, well, the equaliser from Mansfield. Mark's put in the comments, luckily the defence and Tyra had a good night because what in front of them was awful. I don't know if this is related to the other. There we go. Sorry, that was about. Then on Saturday, a lot of the defence and Tyra had used to pull their credits. Right, I see where Mark's coming with this. Mark, I was just about to say you're talking bollocks there. Vis-a-vis the defence had a good day, but you've corrected yourself there by saying then it looked like the defence and Tyra had used to pull their credits for Saturday. The first goal, Baggett wrong-sided by his attacker, basics defending, and the softest of soft goals next to equalise. It was
it was, yeah, sort of cross-drifted in from their left, and like you say, normally all day long that's meat and drink to somebody like Baggett. Although my first shout was keeper. I thought if Tyra had come in that first second and commanded it, he could have had it, but we don't seem to look for our keepers to do that. But then, yeah, for me, Baggett, you look at the size of the Mansfield attacker compared to Baggett, he's probably got a good foot on him, Baggett, and just, yeah, it was uncharacteristic, but really, really poor. We should have cleared that between either the keeper or the centre half, and you just think, here we go again, and they just grew in confidence. Then I don't think we were in it at all really after we scored. They get the equaliser, and then for me it was the gaps between midfield and defence. We just lost that midfield battle massively in the first half. And I've always said that if you win that midfield battle, it's great for attack and it's great for defence. And if you lose it, it's the exact opposite, because there was just huge gaps, and the way we let their guy run through and shoot for the second.
It was completely unmarked, Nick. It was just in acres in a very dangerous position. No one around him.
Evans was just kind of strolling about in that first half, just didn't look at it at all. Ennis was completely isolated up top on his own. There was no protection for the fullbacks from the wide players. It just that formation, as much as you say, great, you tried something different, it just didn't work. And we made a side look like they'd won 6 or 7 in a row, not lost 6 or 7 in a row. They were more hungry. I don't think we won a second ball in that first half. And we could have been out of sight by half time. I think that chance where it's gone in the side netting and a couple of other moments. And I think we were lucky to be where we were at half time, because they could have been a couple more goals ahead easily for me. It was, I think Bruce said, it's probably as poor as we've played all season. And I wouldn't disagree.
Brad, let's pick up from a comment there from Dave Hart. Dave said, it's worrying that we concede again straight away. How many times has that happened this season? It's rare to see it, but it's regular.
Yeah.
Blackpool this season.
Yeah, it's happened far too much this season, and it's when they bob their heads down. I think that's the simple reason of they have that negative mindset as soon as a goal goes in. And it's the same when we go up one goal as well. I know we're talking about the first half and how poor we played, but we did have spells that we did do okay. It's always the shift in dynamic. Now, I for one, for Brucey, was really happy that he changed it up a little bit. It didn't work for Rotherham. I can't criticise him for trying to change it up. But you're right in terms of when the second goal went in, like the acre of space, the closing down. The defence just and I have to involve the midfield as well, because they were all just jogging their way. They didn't man the players where they needed to be. And then in terms of defence, the way he had that acre of space to have a shot, it wasn't even a powerful shot. That is the scary thing about it, And when you look at the elements of the first goal, yeah, you can it was unfortunate. You can't. Well, I say sorry. The second goal was unfortunate. He was good, even though he didn't have the power. The first goal should never have happened at all. It was just shocking, and this is why I'm trying to refer to the first half. Was we always have in the first half the change of dynamics. We seem our mentality just shifts as if you try and get your your own way, and you know that you're not going to get there, and you just resort into sulking tactics, because you're in a mood all of a sudden, and there's just no answer for it, and it's a shame, really. You try not to be negative in the mindset of the club at the moment and the way the situation is, but it's the same circle over and over again. We always think that it's going to get better. And then we have one or two games where we do quite well. And we think, oh, we've turned a corner here. And it just doesn't come to fruition. It comes back to the same Billy Boy tactics, don't have an answer for anything, and it's just shit, basically. I can't sum it up even more. And he was a poor first half, to be fair.
Nick, Tony Lawson's put in the comments again, lack of concentration is rife in this squad. We switched off way too much. It's like what Brad said with the shifting dynamic on the pitch, mentality, lack of concentration. I mean, how do you affect that as a manager? It's very difficult to do so.
It is, yeah. I mean, there's only so much you can do on the training ground. I mean, you look at defensively, we've not done too bad lately. Bruce, he did look like he'd sorted things out to a degree. We had a pretty settled back four for a good few games. Then Pennington got injured, but Baggett came in, and we didn't miss out through Pennington getting injured. Fire had shifted. Originally playing at centre half, he'd gone out wide, and to be fair, he was probably the one bright spot in the first half in terms of getting forward. He tried to go on some good runs, but yeah, it was just poor across the park for me. And like I say, I think we were lucky to go in at the score we did do. Like Bison says there, the midfield too. That's as poor as they've probably played, and it just put the defence under so much pressure because there was absolutely no protection at all. There's only so much the defence can do, but if what's in front of you isn't affording you any protection at all, then you're going to struggle. And like I say, if you didn't know, if you watching that game as a neutral, you wouldn't think that Mansfield had been on the run that they've been on, because we made them look like probably a top 2 or 3 side for spells in that first half. It was that poor from us.
It's extremely worrying to be overawed and hammered at home like we were in that first half. Tony just said there, looked half-assed, worst half I've ever seen. It's hard to argue with that. Jimmy Husband was having a right go at Silvera, I noticed, Brad, on the on their second goal. I think he was just daydreaming, just leaving that big hole in the middle of the pitch. He's got to be tracking back, but maybe he's not used to playing in this system, new player and all, so perhaps cut him a bit of slack for that.
Yeah, well, he's probably not been taught to trail back because of how poor the midfield can be. He's probably been told to stay in position, and yeah, Morgan and Evans were absolutely shocking. I can't. You don't normally see that from them two. You normally, if you're going to have a starting 11, you'd always put them two in there no matter what, because you get a consistent performance and you can rely on them. I think the issue that you had with Silvera, I think you could see the passion go through Jimmy's head, thinking, we're better than this. Why the hell are we steeping this low against Rotherham at home, where we've got to try and get the crowd behind us? And he was just showing his captain mentality, to be fair. I couldn't fault his passion to have a go at the team. And to be fair, I would have had a go at all 11, in all fairness. Baggett had, he was under pressure. Casey, don't get me started with him. He shouldn't be even in the defence, but we haven't got no one to replace him. As far as I'm concerned, he needs to go in the summer window.
I've got to take issue that.
Casey. I say Casey.
Casey's off. One of our probably.
I don't rate him. I don't rate him. There's been a couple of occasions where he's slipped up.
Yeah, but haven't they all? I mean,
that's a controversial statement, Brad. Controversial. I don't think. I think, as Bison's has said there, the finger of blame has to point at the midfield for this game. We're looking at, as Dave Jenkins said, Silvera was wandering all over the place. It was like Theo Corbeanu all over again. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. People look at Jimmy and say, "Oh, you know, he's having a poor game." But when you're that exposed at fullback, you've got to look at what's in front of you as well, and the lack of protection.
Yeah. As JBFCG said, then Evans needs to stop thinking every ball has to be a worldie. That's a great point as well.
Yeah, I mean, he made up for it to a degree in the second half with some of his passing, but yeah, sometimes it's do the simple things. Mitch said it in his write-up, I think. We really are missing that midfielder, and this is the biggest thing for the transfer window for me, who can just disrupt a bit and put himself about and put his foot in and just take control of the game. It was absolutely correct. Like I say, you know, you've said 6 or 7 in a row they've lost, and we made them look like Barcelona at times. You just need somebody to take the game by the scruff of the neck for 10 minutes. And we couldn't. There's too many players swanning about in that first half. And I'm not surprised that he made the changes he did at half time. I'm glad he did. So many times you see a manager go, I'll give it another 15 minutes. We've seen it this season. We saw it every week with Critch until the 70th minute. And you just think, why? You're just wasting time. So at least, you know, he did something about it at half time on Saturday. So credit to the manager for that.
Another good point from Dave Hart there, just before we move on to half time.
Exactly.
We must have been that strong enforcing type of midfield, which backs up what you've said, Nick. Mark said the same. It seems to be what we're lacking. I think it would complement Evans as well, giving him a bit more freedom to play that more creative attacking role and just cover up his mistakes when he makes them. They are quite regular throughout the season. Come back, Keith Southern, where get your boots out, Keith. We need you back. Right, half time. Nick, as you said, big changes were made, needed by Bruce. They did happen. CJ coming on for Silvera, Ash Fletcher coming on for Rob Apter, and Hayden Coulson replacing Bagot. Was Bagot injured, or was it a tactical switch?
I'm not sure. I thought maybe he was injured. I mean, it was a brave tactical switch if he wasn't. But I think he went down for a bit, didn't he? So maybe he had a little bit of a knock. So yeah, it was. I mean, Apter might feel a little bit aggrieved because he's set up the goal. But other than that, he didn't really do a lot. And I think with him and Silvera, like I say, it was just there was no tracking back and no helping the defence out. So, you know, something did need to change. I didn't think that CJ and Fletch would perhaps have the influence on the game that they did go on to have. Because I looked at the bench and thought, yeah, is it really going to change much? But as we'll come on to talk about, to be fair, even at going 3-1 down, you know, they did do well and you know, and made the difference in that second half between the pair of them.
So, Brad, the subs were made, and what was it? Gabriel on 55 as well. Actually, came on to replace a Fire, who that's the last player we want to see out injured. So Gabriel coming on the right hand side, 55 minutes, then 9 minutes in. Mansfield have gone 3-1 up. I've put in my notes here, all the time in the world to slide rule a pass into the goal. Far too easy. Just unchallenged in the box again. Another ridiculously soft goal. Yeah,
you could see the frustration build up when the third goal happened, to be fair. In all fairness, when I was looking at it, it's comical, really. Obviously, you think that the subs would make the impact that they did. I was concerned for O'Fire. I thought it was hopefully it wasn't a bad injury or anything like that at all. So I think it was the right to get him off just in case. But But yeah, the goal was just terrible, wasn't it? You can't. Something had to change. They had to change their mindset. We'll keep talking about mindset because it's the space that was open up, wasn't it? And that's the issue that arose to itself.
Nick, did you think Blackpool coming back from this 3-1 down, crowd has turned, and it really did not look good?
Well, a lot of them left,
Blackpool.
didn't they, John? I saw you on your way out with Eddie.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, I think if it had been another 10 minutes later and it had gone to 3-1, I might have been one of the ones going myself. No, I have to say at that point, I mean, the second half hadn't been as bad as the first. It'd been going some to be able to, but it goes to 3-1 and you're thinking, that's it really, it's going to be game over. They should be able to see it out. So no, I wasn't thinking we were going to get back into it at all at that point. I mean, there was what was there to go with injury time? Half
25.
an hour maybe. Yeah. So no, I wasn't thinking we were going to get back into it, but we did, to be fair. I mean, the second goal just came from sort of a ball over from Gabriel, hopeful ball over, sort of fell at Fletcher's feet, and he swept it in, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's 3-2, and then we had a spell where we were really on top, spraying the ball round. I think their heads did go down a little bit then at that point, and they were maybe unsure, to stick or twist. And we kept going.
Let's just rewind to Fletcher's goal, Nick, because it looks quite an easy finish from on the replay, but it was a very accomplished finish. He can't have seen the ball until it's more or less on him.
Yeah.
Because he's blinded by the defender, just a loop ball into the box. And he's taken a great touch and he's finished it with aplomb, really. And, we've got to give Fletcher some credit. We've been digging him out a lot this season. But you give him a chance in front of goal where he doesn't really have to think. And he's a very good instinctive finisher. I've come to realise over the last few games when I've seen him play and score a goal. So
yeah,
just big up Ash Fletcher there for that finish.
It was very well taken, and you just wish. I'm not saying you want him, he's going to score every week, but just to have those moments in games where you're not kind of wanting to run on the pitch and shake him. He took it really, really well, and he made a difference. He was running the channels. His touch has always been good, particularly outside the box. His build-up play, said all along, it's always been his strength, and he links up the play really well, and he certainly made a difference when he came on. And like you say, we've got to give him credit for it, and it was a well taken goal. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we're back in with a shout.
Brad, Sean says Casey's been brilliant for us this season. Brad needs to stick to refereeing snooker matches. Well done, Nick, on calling him out. Are you sure it's Casey or not Carey? Just clarify.
Do you know what? I tried to bury this, but I fucked up again. You might as well get me the clown outfit out because I was referring to Carey, to be honest. So sorry, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a long freaking day today. So me rushing.
Yeah.
So
right,
Nick, well done for calling me out. But no, Carey was the one of my biggest frustration. Casey, please forgive me. I'll just will earn myself pity while I just drink this beverage on my own.
It is always very easy to mix their names up.
Yeah,
I sometimes do it.
Definitely.
So, okay, let's go on about the equaliser then. CJ doing as CJ does, head down, bombing down to the wing and doing with these little pullbacks. I don't think he's actually got a target. He just puts it in an area and hopes there's someone there. And generally, there is. And luckily for us, it was Ennis. Put it on a plate for him, really.
He did, yeah. Like you say, you never really know with CJ, and I don't know if he knows either what's actually going to happen till it happens. But he ran at his defender, kept going, got past him, and put the ball into a dangerous area. And like you say, Ennis is there to sweep it home for 3-3. And yeah, it's a funny old game, isn't it? Because like I say, at 3-1, you're thinking we weren't even looking like we were going to score, and all of a sudden. We're back, not just back in it at 3-3, but you then think, could we go on and potentially win it? And we nearly did with the chance from Coulson. I don't know if you've had a chance to see the highlights of it, John, but it was a great move. Sweeping ball from Evans, and sort of Coulson just took it running onto it. And my God, had it gone in, it'd probably not just been goal of the season, but one of the best goals we've seen at Bloomfield Road in a long time. But the keeper's got a touch on it, unfortunately, and tipped it round. Yeah, it was. We had that spell where we looked really, really good, and they looked a little bit rattled. And I think they were probably glad in the end to hang on for the point, although they did have chances as well. It was it was quite an entertaining second half, really, when you think how poor the first half was.
I was walking down Bloomfield Road, got to the car, just to give a bit of a backstory. I managed a game at 9 a.m. on the day of the game at Wharton. It was fucking freezing. I was stood there for 90 minutes. Okay, just about thawed out by the time I got back in the car to go to Bloomfield. I was fucking frozen again. 3-1 down, depressed. Eddie was going, "Come on, Dad, I want to go. So I gave in this time. I normally make him sit through it. So I was like, oh, it doesn't matter anyway, even if we equalise. So I said, come on, let's go. I'd let him talk me into it. But if we'd have won 4-3, obviously it'd have been great to see that comeback. But as it was a point, and it really doesn't affect the season that much because we're 9 points behind still, 9 points away from the playoffs. Which brings me to my final question, really. Is the season over? Are we on the beach already? Because in the first half, it was dreadful, that first half, based on what we'd seen at Rotherham. I didn't think it could get any worse, but it did. And a comment I heard was like, we're playing on the beach in February, which is wholly unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one, isn't it? Like you said at the start, still unbeaten in 2025, one of only, I think there's us, Burnley, and possibly still Wimbledon. I'm not sure, but so 2 or 3 teams unbeaten. And you hear a stat like that and think, wow. But the reality is, we've had some decent performances, but at home we can't get the wind over the line. And you would have realistically said probably 7 from 9 in those 3 home games. Obviously, we've got the draw with Crawley coming up on Saturday. But I think to be in with a shout, you needed to win. We needed to be on probably 4 points from those 2 games and then win on Saturday. And, as well as we've played at places like Birmingham and Wrexham, we've matched 2 of the best teams in the division there. And we've had good wins, Huddersfield and Charlton. But then you look at some of those home games and think, we're a mid-table side. What are we at the moment? Just in the top 10, are we, I think? And I think that's about where we'll finish. I said on the last pod, there'd have to be such a turnaround in that home form compared to what we've seen. I just can't see it happening. Your heart says yeah, but your head says no. Closing in on 8, yeah. Let's finish there again. Who knows? Bloxham, I think he's a couple of weeks away, isn't he? He does make a difference, but I just think in the middle of the park. I just don't think, like I said before, we've got that player to run the show for us, and I think that will cost us in the second half of the season. So I think we'll finish somewhere around about where we are now, probably.
Brad Bison said the season was over at 11 p.m. on the 3rd of February when Sadler didn't back Bruce. Your thoughts on that?
It's the truth. Clearly, he got a few players in, but he clearly didn't get enough because we didn't win any other signings. They all went up to other clubs. And just for Bison's reflection, I'm not a Tory or Labour supporter, just to let him know. Don't support that riffraff. Anyway, literally, my heart's telling me that we're going to do the perfect 10 again. We're also miraculously going to just come back from injuries and we're going to go for it and we're going to just win and beat absolutely everybody off the park. But my headspace at the moment, I think it wasn't a good start to the season. in all fairness, with the whole situation. Do I think Bruce was a great signing? Yes. Did I think that he promised him funds in January and selling Joseph the way he did? I don't believe he backed Bruce in any way, shape, or form, in my personal opinion. And we have been very inconsistent this season. Like Nick quite rightly said, the performances against Birmingham and Wrexham, they were fantastic, and we've had wins in the bag that we wouldn't have expected. But we've also drawn a lot of games where we really should have won the game, and we'd be talking 3 or 4 points away from the playoffs. But instead, we're in that middle of the pack, and we're there for a reason. I just hope that I am classing this season as a write-off. Do I take a positive? Yeah, I'll take a positive. Ashley Fletcher has turned it around. But the only reason why he's turned it around is he's had game time. And I think the other lads need to take that and reflect it for the rest of the season and go, right, let's get the right formation. Let's get the right tactics going, get the right personnel in. And in terms of recruitment in the summer, they need to really go at it and get it done early on. Because as we know, time's money, and they leave it later on in the summer window, the more expensive it's going to be. You know, and there's a lot of talk on AFFC and all that, if I pronounce that right, because I seem to be having a shocking night tonight in formation, just like the club. There's a lot of people defending the club at the moment, you know, the club's doing this, the club's doing that. Well, okay, that's great, but as a fan paying his way, we're not really seeing much go on at the moment. You know, you look at the training facility, you look at, you know, the stand. You talk about season ticket prices that we've talked in the previous pod. You know, we talk about, you know, things going off the pitch. You know, players getting sold and making a profit. You know, and it circulates, and a lot of people are talking. I speak to a lot of family and friends, and we're talking about the club and that, and it just results in people not wanting to renew their season ticket, because if it's the same shenanigans over and over again, people are not going to be invested. People are not going to want to spend their time at this extraordinary football club. And I'm going to have a bit of raggy-aid when I say this. I absolutely love the club. You know, no matter what they do in the rest of the season, I'll love the club no matter what. But it is soul destroying when you don't see anything, especially when in the first half it was bad. And you look at the words I'm trying to get out is the effort. They haven't got the effort as much as I would want them to have the effort. So yeah, I know I've probably elaborated quite a lot and gone off topic a little bit, but yeah, it's just been a bad season, hasn't it? Really, when you reflect on it all, it's just not what we expected, you know. And I just hope lessons get learnt, and you know, hopefully we can rebuild in the summer and actually go for it next season. It was going to be tough when you've got the likes of Wrexham, and you know, you've got the top 6. I'd say I didn't expect the top 6 to be the way they were. I expected Birmingham to be there. I expected Wrexham to be there, but I didn't expect, you know, Stockport having a good
Wickham.
run, and Wickham having a good shot at it as well. You know, it has been very competitive, and it'd been very difficult for us to get in the top 6. And that's probably because of our high expectations, because we've done well in the past, and we, you know, with us being the best playoff team in the Football League, you know, we kind of ride on that, don't we? So yeah, I think we've kind of ridden the wave now, and we're not going to get anywhere with it.
Nick, just one thing I forgot to mention before we start discussing about the Mansfield game. I noticed that tickets were off sale on the day of the game for non-previous purchasers, and
yeah,
they only had great following from Mansfield, filled half the East. They wanted more, didn't get given them, which again boils back to this ridiculous situation of them upping our prices so they can take advantage of the large away followings, not taking advantage of it, and also punishing people who just wanted to walk up to the stadium, maybe just take the game on, taking the game. Weird.
Yeah, but I think it was done to stop away fans potentially.
Yeah, I get why they've done it. I just think.
I mean, I'm not
stupid.
a fan of. There's two schools of thought with it. I'm personally not a fan of giving over the whole of the East. I think I get it that it's more money and people talk about atmosphere and stuff, but the atmosphere has been been flat all season. I think we've priced out the demographic from the north who create a lot of that atmosphere. So I don't particularly want to see 3,000 or 4,000 away fans jumping about like we saw with Stockport, and it's party time at Blackpool.
Yeah. Less than 8,000 home fans there again at the stadium.
Yeah, and I think walk-ons, even with tickets being available on the day, I think at whatever it is, 26,
ridiculous
27 quid. I think there is a lot of apathy at the moment. My sort of the lads I go regularly with, there used to be a good group of us, and we're down to 2 or 3 now from over a dozen, and you can probably replicate that, across the fan base. It is a little bit flat at the moment, and there isn't a lot to encourage people if you probably haven't already got a season ticket. So, I mean, there's still plenty of time to go in the season, but like I said, I don't see us being consistent enough to be able to get on that run and push. And you're also relying on the teams above you starting to slip up. Stockport don't look like they're slipping up. Bolton are getting results now under a new manager. So I just think there'll be too many teams above us who've got too much, even if we did go on a decent run.
I think it's too little too late.
Yeah.
I think if we were going to get the ball rolling, we should have done it just straight after Christmas. Wrexham should have been the turning point. Okay, that result didn't go in our way. That penalty should never have fucking happened in a million years. And we could shout to the bitter end that the refs did a poor job of that. And we should have really bounced from that. And like with the Blues game, we did really well in that game, and that should have really been the stepping stone to go on for it. And the guys have been talking about it week in, week out with the pod.
It's the home form. It's the home form that's
done.
done us. We can't play for more than a good 90 minutes. When was the last time we played well for 90 minutes? We can do it away. We seem to have good halves.
Yeah. If we don't have a good first half, we go for the second. If we have, it's vice versa. And this is the frustrating thing. Our inconsistency in the squad is 1 minute it's a mental flick the switch, right, let's go. It's like they've got nothing to lose, and a tale of two halves. I've just seen it. That's exactly what I was thinking, and we, as a collective, I think the squad has always been 2 or 3 players away. And because of the injuries that we've had, you can put it to Bloxham. Bloxham comes in, does an absolute sterling job, gets us excited, thinking, hang on a minute, we're going to go for it here. We've got the squad. Then injury comes up, and that's 6 weeks. It's going to kill us.
That stuff does. Not signing another midfielders stuff does. So it's partly due to the club, partly due to unluck.
But Simon and all that have offloaded the wage bill as well.
Yeah.
You look at the amount of players. A lot of them have gone to Cambridge United and Wigan, for goodness sake. It's okay. Cambridge is a bit of an exception because they've just sacked Gary Monk, hadn't they, a couple of days ago? So they're not in the best place, but they should have a bounce up. I still think they're going to go down, but I just feel like history's repeating itself, and I think it's the same thing over and over and over again.
It's always we seem to be doing a rebuild every close season. It's going to happen again with all the loans. So yeah, let's just look ahead to the fantastic game that we've got to look forward to on Saturday, which is the visit of Crawley Town to Bloomfield Road, a team we've never beaten. All right, we've barely played them. They're coming to town, bottom 4. We won't bother doing player ratings, can't be arsed. Crawley at home. I've written a few bits about them. Tyrese John Jules, we will be welcoming back to Bloomfield Road. So that's one thing to look forward to. Get your tickets to go and see that. Recent form: played 5, won 2, drawn 2, lost 1. So they're not in the terrible form. They're on a bit of a roll. Reasons to be cheerful: away record: played 16, won 3, drawn 3, lost 10, goals for 16, goals against 32. And Nick, this is a 100% must-win game if we want to keep our season alive. Vis-a-vis hitting the playoffs, we've got to win it.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wonder whether they will come and, stick 10 men behind the ball. In which case, that then makes it very difficult to get that space in behind, particularly out wide with our wide players, whoever they will be. Or if they go for it and we get a chance to almost play on the break a little bit, which seems to suit us better. So one way or another, we've absolutely we've got to get the win, haven't we? I just can't bear the thought of another draw. It'll be interesting to see what he does with the lineup, with what happened against Mansfield, whether he'll go with some of the players that finished the game or that started. Obviously,
let's pick our team then. What are we gonna?
Oh Jesus, John! There's going to be anarchy in a minute. I'm going to get shot in a minute.
Well, we know the keeper, don't we?
We know the central midfielder, Sonny Carey.
I mean, to be fair,
yeah. So let's pick the back four, and we'll move on to central midfield. We'll have that debate.
Well, I don't know the injury situation for
a fire.
Let's say he's fit.
Bagot as well.
Yeah, I think if they're fit, they play.
You got Jimmy.
I think the back four picks itself, doesn't it? Assuming they're all fit.
I mean, Coulson did really, really well when he came on.
He did, Nick. Yeah.
But is he better suited as an impact sub though?
Potentially, and it depends who you're playing out wide as well. Whether it can be, you still need an element of defence, don't you?
Yeah.
As much as it's great going forward.
Bagot the left footer. Let's put him in. Right, this is going to be interesting. The four. I think from watching Silvera's lack of tracking back in that first half, I don't think he's got the discipline to play that position in front of Jimmy. So he doesn't get my start personally on the left. What does everyone else think?
Yeah, like I say, I don't think he'll repeat the experiment that he did on Saturday in the first half.
So CJ coming back in.
Yeah, 100%. I'd say CJ's back in.
Okay, centre mids.
After last game's performance, Jesus Christ. Scary, isn't it?
Morgan, definitely.
Yeah.
He's a nailed-on starter. He's got to be up there for player of the season for me, Morgan. Mr. Consistent. Who's going in with him? Evans or Carey? Nick?
Well, Sonny's... I say he's playing as well as he's played all season. He's not really had a run in the side until recently, has he? But he, even when things haven't been going great, he doesn't always come off, but he will try and at least carry the ball forward and try and make things happen. He scored on Saturday, so I think it would be harsh to drop him. And it just depends with Evans, doesn't it? If he's on his game, he's probably one of the first names on the team sheet. But
he's been very slack.
He has been, yeah. In the sort of second half of the season, he hasn't been quite the player he was. And it was Jekyll and Hyde on Saturday. There was some really good stuff, but there was some really poor stuff as well.
I'm picking Carey for the lols. There you go. But joking aside, I think Carey deserves to start above Evans based on his recent performances. So Carey gets my vote.
I think it would be harsh to drop him.
I'm not getting involved. I'm not getting involved, John. I'm not getting involved. I would have picked Evans, but I think Brucey would have given him a size 9 up his arse, but that's just me.
Okay, I think Apter picks himself out there. I think he offers that bit of magic. He can take the pressure off just by getting the ball into the final third. And
would you play him though? Would you rest him for an actual league?
Well, who are other options there?
Who are you putting in?
Oh yeah.
Does it?
That's the thing. I think he's played more than we maybe expected. And if Bloxham's not injured, then it's probably a different conversation. But I think with what we've got, then even with him getting subbed at half time on Saturday, he probably comes back in.
I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of the injury mindset. We're so prone to injuries at the moment. It does question how these injuries start to pick themselves up, because it's been our Achilles heel for years. Injuries. It's been a bit of a joke. Whether you can put that down to the training facility or how much training they do, it is a bit questionable.
With Bloxham, it was shifting his piano moving into his house. Come on, Brad, do keep up.
Wow.
Sean, yeah, CJ off the right, Coulson out on the left. It's not a bad shout, actually. Coulson deserves a...
Yeah, you could do. I think he's probably more likely to go with that, and I think that's what I would do. And then I'd probably go Ennis and Fletcher.
Cool, another shout for Coulson. Another shot for Coulson again. Apter instead of CJ. Not an out-and-out winger, though, is he? That's the problem.
No. And, CJ was great when he came on Saturday, but we know how inconsistent he is. You're never really sure what you're going to get, but...
we'll see which CJ turns up.
Yeah.
Right, up front, we haven't got a great deal of options we can pick from Fletcher, Beasley or Ennis. 2 out of those 3. Well, Ash Fletcher goes straight in, doesn't he?
I can't believe we're saying that.
I know, yeah.
Jeez, here's me
saying... It's Fletcher and Ennis, isn't it?
Yeah.
The trouble with that, Nick, is, and I know we've got no options, but the ball's not going to stick with these 2 up top,
it isn't, but it didn't stick with Fletcher
and Beasley.
I think Ennis, it showed on Saturday again that he needs someone near him. He was so isolated in that first half that I think that's probably of the 2. Again, with no Bloxham, that's the best you can do.
Okay, that's the team. Tyra, Husband, Bagot, Casey, Fire, CJ, Carey, Morgan, Apter with Ennis and Fletcher up top. So, gents, finally, before we go, match predictions for this must-win game. We've only won 2 games all season. Last win coming against, was it Burton? 28th, 29th of September. Is this a game where we finally get this monkey off our back?
Well, say it every week. It's got to be, and then it isn't. But I'll remain eternally hopeful. I'll say 1-0 Blackpool.
Brad, as I said in my little piece before, they've conceded a hell of a lot of goals, 32 away from home. We've banged in 3 at the weekend. Can we stop the rot and finally put 3 points on the board?
I think we're going to win 2-1. I do think we're going to win.
And I think Crawley are going to win 2-1.
Controversials. The mobs are going to come over to you, John, with the pitchforks and the torches.
And I'll go for
John, actually. Before you do finish, I just want to give a mention to John Cross, who you will know, lifelong Blackpool fan, does a load of good stuff for the club. I think he runs the ex-BFC players account on Twitter. Organises a lot of events for ex-players, including the recent Mickey Walsh night. John's in hospital at the moment. I think he's had an operation, so just wanted to wish him all the best for a speedy recovery. I don't think he'd barely missed a game in a very, very, very long time. So I'm sure he's looking forward to getting back into Bloomfield Road as soon as he can. So get well soon, John.
Absolutely. And what can speed the recovery process more, John, than watching another fine draw at Bloomfield Road? I'm going to amend my prediction to 1-1, actually. So keep the run going. Let's do the perfect 10 ... of draws. Right, yeah, thanks for joining us, gents. Great show as ever, but no Tim. We'll find out what's happened to him. Whether he's crashed his car or being overworked. Yeah, just everybody, if you are watching this on YouTube, do like and subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. We've got a lot of people who do watch this and they don't subscribe, so do us a favour and do sub to the channel. Yeah, we'll be coming back after the Crawley game on through next Monday. Back at 8 o'clock, and always remains to be said is thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for downloading. And up the pool. Come on, let's finally get away.
Up the pool.
Up the pool.
With a great tradition.
Been involved in 2. Can he make 3? Not on this occasion. Taken by Walsh. Davis is on the far side. Ainscough coming square. That's the ball. That's a good try.